mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb.
This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Tonight on the program, just days before the deadline for substitutions for the 2022 elections, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte withdraws her re-election bid in a move that fuels speculations she will run for a national post. There's been much ado about the use of face shields, but the Interior Department makes it clear mayors can enforce local ordinances, even if that means ditching the national mandate. And a major comeback for two big stars in local show business, the first changing his TV network and the other returning for a TV drama after 7 years. We begin with a major change from a potential aspirant in the 2022 national elections, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, the president's daughter. Our Trisha Tarada joins us live to help us make sense of this development. Go ahead, Trisha.
Opia presidential children, Davao City Mayor Inday Sara Duterte and Vice Mayor Sebastian or Baste Duterte withdrew their re-election bids for the top posts in the city. Until now, Sara has not explained why she backed out of the local race. What we do know so far is that Baste will instead run for mayor. Sara nominated former presidential chief legal counsel Melchor Kitain to substitute for Vice Mayor Baste. Just minutes before we went on the air, Kitain accepted Duterte's nomination. He withdrew his candidacy for first district councilor. He will now run for vice president. Yeah.
So, Trisha, will Sara Duterte Carpio run for a national post?
Well, we can't say for now, Pia. Sara did not say why she withdrew her candidacy for a third term. There are a lot of speculations up to this moment. A number of groups have been urging her to run for president. Just 2 weeks ago, Sara and presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos met with Cebu Governor Gwendolyn Garcia, and inevitably, this sparked up talks about a possible team-up. The Marcos camp described the Cebu meetup as a beautiful coincidence, but Sara Duterte has already repeatedly said that she is firm on not running for president. Another question is, can she substitute? Well, as it stands for now, she cannot. That's because the younger Duterte is not a member of any national party. She is a part of Hong Kong ng Pagbabago, which is a regional party, but she can still join any national political party until November 15th, the last day for substitution. Both President Duterte and Mayor Duterte Carpio said that only one Duterte will run for a national post. President Duterte did not push through with his vice presidential bid and announced that he will retire from politics. But weeks after that, the president is already considering to run for the Senate.
Although, Trisha, she could take an oath to become a member of the PDP Laban, or she could run as an independent. Well, many possibilities, many permutations there, right?
Right. Yeah, that's right. For now, we just really have to wait. What will come up in the coming days? We still have roughly a few days, more than a few days before the closing of the substitution for national elections. Back to you, Pia.
Trisha Tarada there reporting. Now, after Sara Duterte's announcement, vice presidential aspirant Senator Bongo hints at, quote, possible changes in the coming days. Go turned emotional in a speech in Antipolo, Rizal.
Itong problema about sa substitution dito sa politika. Maaaring may magbabago sa mga tatakbuang posisyon sa mga darating na araw. Ang problema po dyan, kailangan po umiwas. Gustuhin ko nang magsilbi sa inyo bilang inyong Vice Presidente dahil sa kagustuhan ng ating mahal na Pangulo. Kailangan ko po umiwas. Malalaman nyo lang po yan sa darating na araw.
Meanwhile, presidential aspirant Senator Manny Pacquiao says he's surprised by Sara Duterte's decision to withdraw her re-election bid, but he says he wishes her well. On speculations that the mayor's move is in preparation for a national post, another presidential hopeful, Vice President Leni Robredo, says she doesn't think it will affect them or her campaign. Robredo adds, quote, "If at all when that happens, the lines will be clear," unquote. Now, the presidential daughter's announcement comes after a former Davao City government official was fired. City Information Officer Jeffrey Tupas was involved in a drug raid on Saturday at a resort in Mabini Town, Davao de Oro. A statement from the Davao City Mayor's office says Tupas tendered his resignation on Sunday, but was informed that he was already terminated. Authorities confiscated 1.5 million pesos worth of illegal drugs. A recent social weather station survey shows 18% of adult Filipinos are still unwilling to get the COVID-19 vaccine. The national government is now looking at providing more incentives and a possible mandatory inoculation to address vaccine hesitancy and preference to achieve herd immunity. But are these the right solutions? Carolyn Bonkin has that story.
Dahil bakunado ka, aba panalo yan! Sali na sa Bakunado Panalo Raffle.
One lucky vaccinee may go home a millionaire by end of the year. A huge pot of money is up for grabs for those who will get vaccinated until December. It's just one of the health department's efforts to encourage people to get inoculated, as a portion of the population remains vaccine hesitant. The national government also asked local officials to give incentives. Union of Local Authorities head and Quirino Governor Daquila Cua says a number of local governments are giving rewards in the form of perks, social services, or livelihood package.
Hindi mahigpit sa face shield or hindi mahigpit sa mga travel requirements. Nagpaparaffle ng mga items, sometimes siblings, mga livelihood packages na yung mga piik, ganyan, kambing.
But Cua says incentives alone won't work. Getting the right information to the people is needed to address vaccine hesitancy and preference.
Hesitancy mostly has to do with lack of information or having different or wrong information. Kasi syempre ang hirap nung pinipilit natin eh. Pero pag napaliwanagan, baka mamaya makumbinsi naman sila.
League of Municipalities head Mayor Chavit Singson says that's what they're exactly doing in Narvacan, Ilocos Sur. The town is nearing 70% vaccine coverage this week without giving incentives. What works, he says, is a better information campaign. In his town, a team of health workers visit villages to directly talk to people about vaccines.
Which is very effective. Dumami ng napakunahan namin dahil doon. Yun ang naano namin na hindi dapat mamili pare-pareho yan. Iba-iba lang may gawa. Sa barangay, marami naman pupunta na ron. Tapos nililista namin yung mga hindi pupunta, hindi pa, yun ang bahay-bahay.
If incentives and information campaigns are not enough, Health Secretary Francisco Duque says local governments can issue ordinances on mandatory vaccination.
Nasa kapangyarihan po nila iyan. Ano?
Opo.
Habang wala naman po tayong national law on mandatory vaccination.
Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara says local governments may compel residents to get inoculated through an ordinance. But like all laws, he says, this may be challenged in court. Caroline Bonkin, CNN Philippines.
Private hospitals will wait until the end of the month for the state health insurer to pay at least 50% of its dues. In a meeting between PhilHealth and private hospital representatives on Monday, state health insurer president and CEO Dante Gueran said it is to release the second wave of the debit credit payment method, or DCPM. Now, this means PhilHealth will immediately pay 60% of in-process claims. The remaining will be released once documents and the initial payment are verified. The Private Hospitals Association of the Philippines warns the initial plan of some of its members to not renew accreditation with PhilHealth may still push through if the agency again fails to pay up.
Bilang itong Iloilo, Cagayan Valley, may mga hospital din sa Metro Manila, sa Bulacan, Laguna, Quezon, na nag-signify na ng kanilang intention not to renew kasi sabi nila parang walang nangyayari sa usapan. So, sabi ko na medyo hintay-hintay natin up to the end of the month kung talagang yung sinasabi ng PhilHealth, may katotohanan.
The state insurer believes agreements made in yesterday's meeting will expedite payments to hospitals. Coming up on Newsnight, more cabinet and local officials chime in on the debate on whether or not to still mandate the use of face shields. And the Trade Department allays concerns about price hikes on Noche Buena products. Details when we return.
Ang RPNDX kini Radio Runda 1053 kHz.
Quincentenary Faith Rewind.
Ferdinand Magellan died in the hands of Dato Lapu-Lapu in the Battle of Mactan. Spanish navigator Juan Sebastian Elcano took command of the voyage, which finally reached the Spice Islands. To date, the expedition is also known as Magellan-Elcano Expedition.
KBP marks 500 years of Christianity and this station.
Honorable Angel Halusos Carion, Batanon, Buutan ug Malagaron, City Councilor of the Pitan City, Chairman, Committee on Tourism, Committee on Labor, Committee on Child Welfare and Development. Honorable Angel Halusos Carion, Batanon, Buutan ug Malagaron, City Councilor of the Pitan City.
Kalandraka tulumanon nga kulbahinam sa mga suking tigpaminaw, mga tigmo nga nagtangag sa pinyong makalingaw. Kalandrakas, musabwag-usab sa mga impormasyon nga may kalamdigitan sa kalambuan o kayuhan sa katawhan. Kalandrakas, mualagad kaninyo. Kalandrakas.
Next KD 1053 kHz.
Even layer. Grab your cocktail shaker and pour your grapefruit juice, your lime juice, and your simple syrup. Lastly, our GSM Premium Gin. We're going to fill our shaker with ice. Now, shake. Get your glass and carefully add in some ice. Pour our cocktail. Then a grapefruit wedge. And here it is, your salty dog made with GSM Premium Gin.
This Christmas, gift giving is made easy at Robinsons Supermarket with our easy-to-order Christmas basket. Here in Robinsons Supermarket, our customers can choose from pre-made, vendor exclusives, a basket for World Vision, and fruit baskets. We also have dessert and platters, which are available in select Robinsons Supermarket branches. Our customers also have the option to create their own baskets based on their preferences and liking. We offer a wide variety of baskets for as low as 150 pesos up to 3,500 pesos depending on your budget. Customers can order these Christmas baskets in all Robinsons Supermarket branches or online via Go Robinson. For the complete list of the available baskets, you can visit our customer service area or view the online catalog in our official website. Our Christmas baskets are available until January 15, 2022 in all Robinsons Supermarket branches. Enjoy a stress-free holiday season by ordering a Christmas basket and spread joy to your loved ones easily and safely. Merry Christmas!
Welcome back to CNN Philippines. The Interior Department clears the air on local ordinances on the use of face shields. Interior Secretary Eduardo Año says the executive orders issued by several mayors no longer requiring the use of face shields are enforceable, saying the situation is different now. Even Justice Secretary Manado Guevara and Trade Secretary Mon Lopez back Año's position. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque earlier said the Manila city government's order limiting the use of face shields to hospitals and clinics is, quote, null and void, unquote. Roque explained mayors are under the command of the president. The Health Department also reiterated local governments should just wait for the final decision of the Interagency Task Force.
We see that the IATF has been designated by law that whenever there is this public health emergency like what we are having right now, this is the policy directing body of the national government, and therefore even local governments has to abide with the resolutions of the IATF.
Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, meanwhile, says the national government, quote, can go to court if they want to stop the city from imposing its no face shield policy. But Moreno maintains the president has no control over local executives under the local government code. Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio and Iloilo City Mayor Jerry Treñas earlier issued executive orders scrapping the use of face shields. Año said the local chief executives will not be sanctioned, but he advised them to wait for the formal IATF resolution. Other local leaders also see nothing wrong with waiting.
Lahat naman gusto tanggalin itong face shield di ba? Gusto tanggalin na Anyway, it's just a matter of one day. Why can't we wait? It's just today's Tuesday, Wednesday, bukas, Webes, sigurado lalabas na ito. And alam natin ang resulta.
Kung mag-iintay na lang tayo ng 1 o 2 araw, antayin na natin. Yun lang. Hindi na kailangan ng marami pang diskusyon.
The Health Department is expected to submit to the IATF on Thursday its final recommendation on the face shield mandate. Good news for consumers before the holidays. The Trade Department claims prices will stay for some Noche Buena products. The agency says it will also promote the items in bulletins of supermarkets. For a group, however, this is unfair. Our Rexa Media tells us why.
We chance upon Lorena Medez buying some items for her family in a supermarket in Quezon City. With Christmas just around the corner, she's already planning for their Noche Buena. But losing her job due to the pandemic, Lorena says she will just prepare 3 instead of their usual 5 dishes.
Bawasan na lang yung panghanda upang sa kinabukasan may makain pa, may matitira pa.
The Trade and Industry Department, however, says consumers need not worry about price increases for now. The DTI claims some manufacturers will not increase the prices of their Noche Buena items. The products cover more than half of the 160 brands listed on suggested retail price bulletins. Among them are some brands of Christmas ham, fruit cocktail, queso de bola, mayonnaise, sandwich spread, pasta, spaghetti sauce, tomato sauce, and creamer.
It's still competition-driven. Gusto nilang mas mataas pa rin ang volume ng maibenta nila, ma-dispose nila. Gusto nilang maubos rin yung stocks nila. So, hindi na sila gagalaw ng presyo para mag-gravitate towards these products ang consumers.
The DTI will also promote these items through SRP bulletins in supermarkets. A group of supermarkets assure they will not increase prices if the manufacturers don't. The head of a supermarkets association feels DTI's plan to only promote select products is unfair for other manufacturers.
Ang tao naniniwala kahit fake news, di ba? Ano pa kaya yung pinor-promote pa ng DTI pa, di ba? So I think it's unfair, di ba? Government has no reason to do business. They should let the private sector do the business.
For the group Laban Consumer, business owners should also offer discounts to help Filipinos celebrate Christmas during the pandemic. The advocacy group says the DTI should also specify the brands that did not hike prices in SRP bulletins.
We need to verify kung true or hindi true. Kasi when I checked the 2020 guide price and not the products, ang ginawa lang dito doon, product and price range walang brand.
Consumers are also advised to prepare a list and a fixed budget before going to the supermarket, so they can still wisely prepare for the traditional feast without costing them an arm and a leg. Rex Remitio, CNN Philippines.
Economic growth lost momentum in the third quarter as strict COVID-19 restrictions hurt consumption. Output slowed to 7.1% in July to September because of the new round of lockdowns. Now, these dragged household consumptions to 7.1%, softer than the previous quarter, while government spending rebounded by double digits. But the latest figures beat market expectations, and on a quarter-on-quarter basis, the economy still expanded by 3.8%. Economic managers say that with relaxed measures on the tail end of 2021, full-year growth could settle on the top end or even exceed government target.
No, I think we are not going to raise the target. You either hit it or exceed it. And we are hoping that we will at least hit the upper end of the 4 to 5%. or even do better because of the lowering of the alert level in the fourth quarter. And we would like everyone to cooperate, help each other, follow the minimum health standard so that we will not have a reversal.
Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Carl Chua adding shifting Metro Manila to the lowest alert level must not be rushed to prevent another surge in cases that could again set back economic recovery. Now, the Labor Department wants to expand the mandatory insurance coverage for overseas Filipino workers, citing data that millions lack social protection benefits amid the pandemic. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III says workers should not cover the cost of the expanded insurance, but for recruitment agencies, the issue lies in the delays in the release of claims for OFWs. Tristan Odalo has that story.
The Labor Department says that around 7 million agency-hired overseas Filipino workers are not yet covered by the compulsory insurance required by law, making them unprotected and exposed to different risks in their host countries. The Labor Department says this is concerning during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. A new Labor Department order made it clear that under the Migrant Workers and Overseas Filipinos Act of 1995, recruitment agencies must pay for the compulsory insurance and not the workers. Employers should shoulder the insurance costs for directly hired workers. The order also expanded the scope of the insurance to make sure that health issues, man-made risks, and job hazards are included in the coverage.
Magte-take effect po ito sa mga susunod na araw. Karamihan po ng ating mga OFWs ay hindi insured, kaya gusto lamang pong tiyakin, lalo na sa harap ng pandemya, mayroong fallback sa ganitong kalagayan.
An insured OFW is entitled to a number of benefits. Repatriated OFWs can file for insurance claims based on the following grounds under the law. OFW Glenn Gumpal says while he considers himself fortunate because his employer pays for his insurance for working in war-torn Afghanistan, some Filipinos do not have the same benefit.
Kaya lang, kahit paano may maiiwan or may benefit yung pamilya just in case. Kaya lang yung ibang employer kasi doon, lalo na yung maliliit lang, hindi nila kino-cover sa insurance, sa group insurance yung kanilang empleyado.
For recruitment agencies, the issue is not about the mandatory insurance but the delay in the processing of claims for repatriated OFWs.
There is a problem right now with the insurance companies, which the OFWs are complaining. The insurance companies, which have billions of pesos in insurance premiums, are not paying the claims of the 700,000 OFWs who have returned since last year.
And speaking of claims, the Labor Department says that it has formed a technical working group to discuss with Saudi Arabia government officials the payment mechanisms for the 4.6 billion worth of unpaid salaries to 9,000 OFWs. They have until November 15 to finalize the payment mechanisms. Tristan Odalo, CNN Philippines.
Later, we talk about dynasties and surveys in your weekly political appointment fix. Join me on Politics as Usual with professional statistician and Philippine Institute for Development Studies Senior Research Fellow Jose Ramon Albert, House Deputy Speaker Pablo John Garcia from a well-known political clan in Cebu, and Ateneo School of Government Dean Dr. Ronald Mendoza. Tonight at 8:30, only here on CNN Philippines. Dynasties and surveys, two things in Philippine politics we both can't seem to live with and can't live without. Tonight, we'll try to make sense of them. Up next on Newsnight, an award-winning star makes an entertainment industry comeback on a rival network. And this Blackpink member goes from K-pop to K-drama in a series arriving right in time for the holidays. Details after the break.
Kini ang RPNDX Kini Radio Runda 1053 kHz.
DXKD Ronda Balita.
Mga balitang may kamatuuran, way gidapigan o hilisgutanan sa katawhan. DXKD Ronda Balita. Mga labas nga mga balita gikan sa sinaligang mga tinugdagan. Balitang hinimo sa lawak balitaanan. Diin inyong madungog ang mga balitang lokal, regional, national o international o uban pang may kalabutan sa atong kadalilimban. Gihatod ninyo live gikan sa RENDXKD Radio Ronda Broadcast Center. DXKD Ronda Balita. Inyong madungog matag adlong Lunes hangtod Biyernes alas 12 hangtod sa alas 2 sa kahaponon ug makita usab sa RPNDXKD Dipolog Facebook page, YouTube ug sa Twitter. DXKD Ronda Balita.
RPNDXKD Radio Ronda 1053 kHz.
Artists. One highlights the work of legendary cartoonist and national artist for visual arts, Larry Alcala. Admirers of the artist should keep an eye out for Alcala's trademark self-portrait somewhere on the can. Alcala's son Lauro says this was the artwork done by his father for the San Miguel Beer Centennial celebration many years ago and has now become a collector's item. Alcala's design is paired with the work of National Book Awardee Rob Cham. Fans of his popular silent comics and illustrations can add this iconic can to their collection.
For this can, I made a pattern where it was Filipinos just sharing a beer with each other and drinking and celebrating being Pinoy.
The limited edition San Miguel Pale Pilsen iconic can is available in select supermarkets and convenience stores, as well as SMB delivers until December 2021. The perfect beer regalo for this holiday season, the iconic can showcases how San Miguel Pale Pilsen continues to connect and bring people together across time and distance. Dahil with San Miguel Pale Pilsen, kahit kailan, walang iwanan. I'm Sam Sidwani, CNN Philippines.
The home is where your heart is. Because of this pandemic, it's not only where your heart is, it's where your family is, it's where your work is. The home has become sort of a unifying element in your life wherein everything begins at home. We've had so many silver linings with this pandemic, and we realized that it's really important that you now prioritize your home, always fill it up with love and happiness, and continuously have new memories in spite of the pandemic.
Welcome back. Petron Corporation continues to recover in the third quarter of the year, an impressive turnaround from last year. In a disclosure at the stock exchange, Petron reported a net income of 5 billion pesos from January to September, reversing a 12.6 billion peso net loss in the same period in 2020. The firm notes its outstanding performance shows sustained recovery amid the pandemic as its volume and revenues remained on the uptrend in the last two quarters of 2021. Exciting updates from two megastars, one making a network switch and another acting in her first teleserye in 7 years. John Lloyd Cruz is officially a Kapuso, the multi-awarded actor signed with GMA Network, where he made his showbiz comeback in June to co-host a TV special with Willie Revillame. Cruz left ABS-CBN in 2017, stepping away from the limelight for 4 years. Meanwhile, a Kapamilya is making her teleserye debut on the channel. Sharon Cuneta is joining the cast of Ang Provinciano, her first drama series since Madam Chairman on TV5 7 years ago. She hinted at the news last week on Instagram, but has yet to reveal what role she's playing. And Blackpink fans can look forward to vocalist Jisoo showing off her acting chops in Snowdrop, now with an official premiere date. The much-awaited K-drama comes out December 18th on Korean channel JTBC. Disney Plus will also stream the show. Snowdrop revealed a teaser poster today, giving us a glimpse of the Blackpink members' first starring role. It features the two leads who will meet when Jisoo's character protects Junghae-in's after a university protest. And plenty of movie news today, just in time for the reopening of a number of local theaters tomorrow. Here are updates on the next Star Wars installment and the latest Marvel blockbuster from CNN's David Daniel on the Hollywood Minute.
Because I've never had this experience before.
Star Wars fans may have to wait a bit longer for director Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron movie. The Wonder Woman director was supposed to begin production on Squadron next year, but according to The Hollywood Reporter, Jenkins' schedule conflicts have delayed that indefinitely. Rogue Squadron has a release date of December 22nd, 2023. It's scheduled to be the first theatrical Star Wars movie since The Rise of Skywalker in 2019.
How long do we have?
7 days. Eternals will be around longer than that after one of the biggest opening weekends of the year. Star Salma Hayek praised the diversity of the Marvel movie's cast.
The fact that we are diverse just makes the family all the more interesting and rich.
Foo Fighters are headed to the big screen for the horror comedy Studio 666. They'll play themselves moving into a creepy LA mansion to record an album, but supernatural forces there could make it their last recording session. Studio 666 is due in theaters February 25th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
And that is it for now. It is 46 days before Christmas. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pio Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Quincentenary Faith Rewind.
The image of Santo Niño may have come from Michelin, Flanders, now part of Belgium. There are surviving images that resemble the one in Cebu from 16th century Flanders. King Charles I of Spain grew in Flanders and must have obtained and given images of the Santo Niño for the expedition.
KBP marks 500 years of Christianity and this station. Radio Philippines Network, DXKD, Dipolo, Radyo Ronda, member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
A former defense chief has changed track and is now pursuing a Senate seat, but the road to the Senate is daunting because of personalities, returning senators, and those seeking re-election joining the race. Also, we get to know what happened to Talk's very supposed Sara Gibo tandem, and is this no longer an option? Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have senatorial aspirant Gibo Teodoro. Secretary Teodoro, welcome to the source. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning. Good morning, Pinky, and to all the televiewers.
You had a proxy file your COC on your behalf as senator under the People's Reform Party because you contracted COVID. How are you now?
It was my last day of isolation. When was this? Friday, and my latest RT-PCR test came out negative, so I'm fine.
How were the symptoms?
Mild symptoms, just an itchy throat and a runny nose. But I felt that it was enough to warrant an RT-PCR and came out positive. And I did the proper isolations in consultation with my pulmonologist too and doctor.
Were you surprised considering you got a vaccination was in Davao last June, right?
Yes, I was surprised actually, but having heard stories of my other friends and classmates who've had the breakthrough infections, never mind them being fully vaccinated, I was not surprised, and I was very thankful that it could have been worse had I not been vaccinated.
So because of the vaccine, certainly you believe that the vaccine obviously worked and just basically really gave you mild symptoms.
Yes, I fully believe so.
Okay. So you're running, as I mentioned a while ago, as senator under the People's Reform Party. Can you tell us what happened?
Well, since Mayor Duterte did not file her certificate of candidacy and there was really she really did not make any commitment to do so. Upon consultation with close advisors, friends, most especially the public through the Gibo.ph website and Facebook page, running for senator was their advice, and heeding their advice that happened.
When did you last speak to Mayor Sara Duterte, and was there ever a time that she personally told you that she would just run as mayor?
No, there was no time that she personally told me that, and all the time that we talked, we were trying to shy away from the issue of elections. We talked about COVID recovery, economic opening, the complexities of running a major commercial area like Davao, and there was no talk about any elective position whatsoever, you know.
So you just found out that she wasn't running as president, or that she would just run as mayor through the media and through the announcements made by the mayor on social media?
Yeah, the several announcements, I believe, from the start, and from the first announcement when she said she wasn't interested, and the most telling statement is that she wanted to remain free and independent, a feeling which actually resonates with me too. In terms of being free from political shackles or whatnot, then I really believed in the statement.
We understand, of course, that November 15 is still the end of the substitution process. Do you think, or are you hoping, that Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio will change her mind?
Right now, that's really a decision for her to make. Obviously, a lot of people are hoping. However, I have filed my COC for senator, and for me, I'm going to concentrate on that. Throughout my political career, I've been upholding a party, somebody else's agenda. This time, that's why I joined the political race, was to pursue a transformative agenda, which will take some time. No? And that's the reason why I went back to politics. Post-pandemic, there's an agenda that we must transform the country. The past cannot be the future anymore, particularly with a fast-shaping world with disruptions and innovations happenings around the world. And that's why I decided to join again.
But you said, of course, this is obviously, as we all know, the choice of Mayor Sara. But are you personally hoping that she would change her mind?
Right now, I'm. If she would change her mind, there would have to be a very, very good and big reason for it, and that's within her and for her to decide. So my mindset now basically is on the senatorial campaign, which I have to concentrate on. I know that I'm running on the same race with very, very known and popular individuals, returnees, and so I have to think of my own situation first.
Your own campaign?
Yes.
Yeah. So does that mean certainly, absolutely, that you will no longer pursue the vice presidential race, that you will for sure run as senator?
It would be very unlikely for me to shift at this time. it would have to take a major reason, positive reason, which will be beneficial for the agenda I'm pursuing to do so. But right now, there's no reason for me to shift.
What would make you shift?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. It has to be really heavy and important and doable. You know.
Let's say, hypothetically, sir, Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio runs and she asks you to be her vice president. Is that a heavy enough consideration for you to accept?
I'll have to think about it. I'll really have to think about it. I'll have to see where I stand. I'll have to think about how my agenda will be accepted. And those are just some of the criteria I'll have to think about. Plus,
So
of course, the winnability factor is also very important.
Right. So there's still a possibility. There's still a small opening there. That's how I'm understanding your statements.
There are no yeses, firm yeses or nos. But right now, it's highly unlikely. Let's put it that way.
Okay. We need to take a very short break. The source will be right back.
Bida Solusyon Plus sa COVID-19. B. Bawal walang mask at face shield. I. Isanitize ang kamay at iwasan ang kulob na lugar. D. Dumistansya ng 1 metro at limitahan ang pisikal na interaksyon sa iba. A. Alamin ang tamang impormasyon. Plus, suportahan ang FDA-approved na bakuna. BIDA Plus. Bida Solusyon Plus sa COVID-19.
Isang paalala mula sa Department of Health, Zamboanga Peninsula.
You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, senatorial aspirant and former Defense Secretary Gibo Teodoro. Sir, so I understand, of course, your track of mind right now is obviously to pursue your senatorial bid. But I just want to ask, who are you inclined to support as president and vice president, given those who have filed their COC so far?
I think it's the reverse. Whoever will support the agenda of Bagong Pilipinas para sa bagong henerasyon and cooperate with it. I think I joined the People's Reform Party so that I'm independent to pursue that agenda. And right now, I'm just concentrated on pursuing that agenda, building my base. And the question of who to support as president or not does not come into play because the party has not decided to support anyone yet.
And running as senator, so far, who else is in your team?
I think the PRP, I'm the lone candidate for it.
So far, no?
Yes.
Yeah, because there's talk on presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. He said that his decision to run is something that he needs to still ask Mayor Sara Duterte and President Duterte as well. So far, it's you right now, part of the team.
Yeah.
It's something that you mentioned. You mentioned a while ago, no, sir, that there's a lot of personalities. Even I said that a while ago. Even re-electionists, returning senators, popular personalities vying for the Senate seat. How difficult do you think this election will be for you?
It's admittedly going to be difficult given that I've been away from the political scene for quite some time. And you're going against popular names. And I know that really the personality counts for a lot in local politics. But hopefully this can be overcome by the networks and relationships I've developed throughout the years, particularly with local leaders and other politicians, and social media now has a very, very great impact, and hopefully that will level the playing field, so to speak, insofar as I'm concerned.
You were talking about social media. I think it was back in February that you had changed your Facebook photo to a check. You added, I think, a check and changed it to green. And it somehow sparked the return, a political comeback for Gibo Teodoro. What happened back in February?
Well, I think that's when the final decision within the family, my wife and our son talked about it. We agreed that it would be a go, that I tried to make it back to public service, given that perhaps this is the best time that somebody who's had both government and private sector experience could be helpful to the country. And that's when the check mark was put in.
But what pushed you? What made you say that 2022, I'm going to make a political comeback?
No, actually, it was a long process, and it was a process of the pandemic too. That for in any time that perhaps the country would need my services, or the country would have the option, should they wish, to avail of my services and expertise. And my family also talked to me about it, that it's the right thing to do at the right time, where there's no one person who probably has the monopoly of solutions, the monopoly of wherewithal, the monopoly of skills needed to run the country, but everybody should pitch in. And my family told me that, I mean, it's your duty to the country that you do so. And that decision was come up and came from there. But there were a lot of people also who were asking that since even before the pandemic, bumalik ka na, why don't you give it another go? But there was no compelling reason at that time. But after the pandemic, I think this is as compelling a reason as possible, as you can have, rather.
Right. Because it was you were gone for, well, in the public eye, I'd say for about 11 years, maybe 10 to 11 years since the 2010 elections, Niuba. So I didn't see or hear much of you in the past years. And then it was a surprise, in fact, for a lot of people when you made your way to Davao City. And I remember even Secretary Andaya, Congressman Andaya, saying, this Mayor Sara Gibo is a done deal. What was so done about that back then?
That's perhaps what he felt. He explained that's the vibe he felt, and he was really excited about the possibility. So he gave that statement, and he gave that statement in full faith and belief that it would have been a good thing for the country. However, such was not to be. And so
he believed that. Did you believe that as well?
For me, I've always been, especially with my experience in 2010, and my experience in the private sector, I've always been a bit one step backward from being over exuberant about things. And
Okay. So you're more pragmatic.
Actually, not even pragmatic. Yes, pragmatic in a sense, and conservatively so.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, when your family was discussing this, and even friends, that maybe it's time to make a political comeback, what was foremost in your mind? When you say political comeback, did you think, well, I want to run as vice president, I want to run as president, or I want to run as senator? Was there an option A for you? What was option A?
My experience in the private sector is that the majority of the experience in institutional private sector was as an independent director. Basically, as one who views you're part of the institution, but you're there to have a second look at things and view things on a macro perspective. And that's perhaps how a vice president can be really, really beneficial to an administration or to a president. And you can also give in positive inputs on an independent basis as you see things, and you can backstop. And so the vice presidential role would have really been perfect. Plus, I could go around the country advocating for and asking questions about what the young feel the future should look like for them. It would have been perfect, and but such is not to be as of this day. And so I'll still continue the movement. That is a commitment, and try to work within the legislature to shape, to introduce more efficiencies into the government. And try to make things easier for the private sector and for any citizen to deal with the government.
So really, option A was to run as vice president, but because that didn't pan out, option B would have been to run for the Senate. I wanted to ask you before we go on a break, Sir Secretary, what happened? Why did you reject or did not accept President Duterte's offer? Weren't you offered twice as to become once again the Secretary of National Defense?
Well, at that time, I just had taken on two new assignments in the private sector. Secondly, I was busy with my family and with my mother too. I was in government for how many years, and we didn't want at that time to have disruption once again in our own family, given my mother's alone, and basically there was no need, a compelling need to do so. Like Secretary Lorenzana is doing a good job right now. I can't say I would have done better than him. However, this situation, to me, I feel that each and every Filipino should offer his or herself the best way he or she can do, because it's a different world right now.
Well, sorry, just a follow-up on this before I forget. Have there been feelers from other parties to adopt you to be part of their senatorial slate?
There have been, and I'd rather they announce it rather than me. There have been.
Okay, so there's a big possibility that you'll be adopted by other parties.
Well, hopefully. Hopefully.
Okay, all right. So we want to talk about, if you win, what will be your priorities? But we need to take a very short break. The Source will be right back.
Dapitan City Councilor Jezebel Bing Balisado, konsehal sa Dakbayan sa Dapitan nga dali duulon og maabibihon sa iyang mga katawhan. Konsehal Bing Balisado maluluyon og matinabangon sa tanang higayon. Konsehal Bing Balisado sa Dakbayan sa Dapitan.
Alpin Dexki Radio Runda 1053 kHz.
You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb, up close and personal now with senatorial aspirant Gibo Teodoro. Okay, sir, just want to quickly get first your thoughts on the hearing at the Senate. They are about to release a partial report on the the budget that has been used for the government's COVID-19 response. Have you been following it? And if so, what are your thoughts?
Well, I've been following it, and where there's smoke, there's fire, and it should be pursued by professional investigators in impartial way, and whoever has done something wrong should suffer for it, basically. But this should not also serve to stall the need to acquire vaccines as quickly as possible, because vaccinations are necessary and crucial in order for our economy to open. Secondly, it also opens eyes in what we need to do and the trust that the public needs to put in government for that. What other countries did and could not happen here was they invested in an emerging technology at source without even the surety that a workable vaccine would do, no? So they were at the head of the line in acquiring vaccines. We have to be able to get the trust of the public in order to do that, and we have to have the flexibility to do that. If not, we'll be at the end of the line always. And that goes to our interconnectivity. For example, our digital infrastructure and our digital architecture, which is really important. Off-the-shelf solutions will not do for us. And we have to invest at source. We have to have the capability to do that, both for commercial purposes and for national security purposes.
What are, I guess, in summary, when we talk about the government's response, would you say you're satisfied, above average, below average? How has government done so far?
You know what, with the kind of law that we have, and with the logistical nightmares that even private individuals face in this country, it wouldn't be surprising that the response would be that way. We need now, we realize rather, we have awakened to the need that the Philippines really needs an advancement in logistics, in infrastructure, in storage facilities, in building up the capabilities of our local governments. Not all local governments, but at least certain hubs that can serve weaker or less advanced local government units, less developed rather, local government units to serve as hubs. And that would ease our problem a lot. And we need a lot of investments in that. And that's one of the things that I would be pushing for more infrastructure, for interconnectivity, both digital and physical infrastructure.
Okay, we have the yes or no question. This is the part wherein you just answer yes or no without any explanation. I only have 1 minute left. I hope you don't mind, sir. So the first is, are you in favor of easier public access to the SAL-N of the President, Vice President, and members of Congress? Yes or no?
I've always done it. So the access has been always easy for me. So yes.
Do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution?
Yes, I do. Actually, yes, I do.
Are you in favor of the reimposition of death penalty for drug-related crimes?
No, not for the reason that just no, not because I oppose it, but because the judicial system probably might lack resources to guarantee a fair trial.
Should a sitting president be allowed to run for vice president in the next election?
Well, to me, ultimately, let's leave it to the people to decide. So,
yes or
whatever
no?
legal, yeah, the people will decide anyway.
Okay, are you in favor of resuming peace talks with communist rebels?
No, actually, no. That's already been done.
And lastly, should the country be more aggressive in protecting its maritime interests in the West Philippine Sea?
It should be more aggressive, yes. But how aggressive it is varies, no? Because internationally, in international bodies, we can only do so much. Unfortunately, as the president said, the UN itself is one of the most undemocratic organizations because of the veto power of the permanent members of the Security Council.
All right. Sir, we've run out of time, but I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak to you. And of course, good luck to you.
Good. Thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity. Good morning and have a great week ahead.
And thank you to senatorial aspirant Vibo Teodoro. Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN2.